The road stretched ahead, like a broken promise, cracked asphalt disappearing into the morning mist that clung to the Korean countryside. Riley Chen pressed harder on the accelerator, as if she could outrun the ghosts that had chased her all the way from Los Angeles. Her rental car, a sad little sedan that had seen better decades, wheezed in protest. She had told herself this trip was about art, about finding new perspectives for her photography. The truth sat heavier in her chest. She was running from the gallery that had rejected her work. Running from Marcus, her ex-fiancé who had not only shattered her heart but stolen her creative soul, claiming her photographs as his own vision, running from a life that had become unrecognizable. The engine coughed once, twice, then died completely. "No, no, no," Riley whispered, guiding the car to the shoulder. She turned the key. Nothing. Not even the courtesy of a struggling sound. Just silence, broken only by the distant crow of a rooster somewhere in the valley below. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Of course. She had wanted to get away from everything, and apparently, everything included cell towers. Riley stepped out into air so clean it made her lungs ache. Rice fields stretched in every direction, their green expanse broken only by a cluster of buildings about half a mile down the road. A village, tiny and probably older than anything she had ever photographed. She popped the hood of the car, stared at the engine as if her artistic eye could somehow diagnose mechanical failure, then slammed it shut. The walk to the village took 15 minutes. Her camera bag bounced against her hip with each step, a familiar weight that had become her only constant companion. The morning sun painted everything gold, the kind of light photographers waited hours to capture. But Riley could not bring herself to reach for her camera. What was the point when no one would ever see her work again? The village consisted of, maybe 20 buildings, traditional Hanok houses, mixed with more modern structures. An elderly woman sweeping her storefront looked up as Riley approached. The woman's Korean came rapid and concerned, but Riley caught only fragments. Her heritage might be Korean on her father's side, but she had grown up in California speaking English and broken Mandarin from her mother's family. "Car?" Riley said in her limited Korean, making a steering wheel motion. "Broken." The woman's face brightened with understanding. She pointed down a narrow alley between two houses, miming a wrench turning. "A mechanic, thank God." The garage sat at the alley's end, more of a converted barn than a proper auto shop. Traditional wooden beams supported a corrugated metal roof, and the smell of motor oil mixed with something earthier, older. A pair of legs stuck out from beneath a truck that had probably been running since the 1980s. "Hello," Riley called out, first in English, then attempted Korean. "Excuse me?" The legs shifted, and a man slid out from under the truck. Riley's breath caught, though she could not say why. He was not conventionally handsome in the way Marcus had been, all sharp cheekbones and practiced smiles. This man looked like he had been carved from stone, then weathered by wind. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and oil smudged one cheek. But his eyes, those eyes held something that made her photographer's instincts scream. They were the eyes of someone who had seen too much. "You speak English?" she asked hopefully. He stood slowly, wiping his hands on a rag that only spread the grease around. "I do." His voice carried an unexpected accent, not Korean learning English, but American, maybe West Coast like her. "Car trouble?" "Dead on the road about half a mile back. It just stopped." He nodded, grabbing a toolbox that looked older than both of them combined. "Show me." They walked in silence. That should have been awkward, but was not. He moved with a strange grace for someone in coveralls and work boots, each step deliberate and sure. Riley found herself studying him the way she studied potential subjects, noting the calluses on his hands that seemed both old and new, the way he constantly scanned their surroundings without appearing to. At the car, he popped the hood and leaned in. His movements were efficient, practiced, but Riley caught something else. The way he handled the tools spoke of precision that went beyond fixing cars. His fingers moved with the delicacy of a surgeon or perhaps something more dangerous. "Alternator's shot," he said after a few minutes. "Fuel pump's on its way out too. You're lucky it died here instead of on the mountain passes. Can you fix it?" He straightened, and for a moment, their eyes met properly. Riley felt something shift in her chest, like a door opening to a room she had forgotten existed. I can, but I need to order parts from the city. 3 days minimum, maybe 4. 4 days? Riley's stomach dropped. Is there another option? Another town with parts? Not for 100 kilometers. He closed the hood gently, almost respectfully. There's a guest house in the village. Halmione Kim keeps it clean, serves good food. I'm Daniel, by the way. Riley, she shouldered her camera bag, trying to process being stranded. I guess I don't have much choice. Daniel studied her for a long moment, and Riley had the strangest feeling he was cataloging her the same way she had been observing him. Most people would be angrier about being stuck here. I'm running from angry, she said before she could stop herself. Maybe stuck is what I need. Something flickered across his features, too fast to read. I'll tow your car to the shop. Come by tomorrow afternoon. I should have news about the parts. The guest house was everything Daniel had promised. Clean, simple, with sliding paper doors and heated floors. Halmione Kim fussed over Riley like a long-lost granddaughter. Despite the language barrier, the room looked out over the rice fields, and for the first time in months, Riley felt her fingers itch for her camera. She spent the rest of the day wandering the village with her camera, capturing the afternoon light on weathered wood, the patterns of shadows through traditional roof tiles. The villagers seemed used to the occasional tourist, smiling and nodding as she worked. But everywhere she went, she caught whispers of Daniel's name, though when she looked their way, they would quickly change the subject. That evening, she sat on the guest house's wooden porch, editing photos on her laptop. These were different from her Los Angeles work. Quieter. More honest, maybe. You're a photographer. She looked up to find Daniel standing at the porch steps, having appeared as silently as mist. He had changed from his coveralls into dark jeans and a simple black shirt, but somehow looked no less dangerous. Trying to be, Riley replied, turning her laptop slightly so he could see the screen. Though according to the Los Angeles art world, I'm more of a thief. He stepped closer, studying the image, a shot of the village temple at golden hour. This is good. Really good. My ex-fiancé didn't think so. Or rather, he thought it was so good he put his name on my entire portfolio and sold it to a gallery. The bitterness in her voice surprised her. Daniel's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He stole your work? And convinced everyone I was the thief when I protested. He had connections. I just had talent. She closed the laptop harder than necessary. Sorry, you didn't come here for my sob story. I came to tell you the parts are ordered, but… He paused, seeming to weigh his words. I know something about having your life stolen from you. Their eyes met, and Riley saw that haunted look again, deeper this time. She wanted to photograph him in this light, wanted to capture whatever story his face was telling. Want to get a drink? She asked impulsively. I saw what looked like a bar near the market. That's Mr. Park's place. He makes his own soju. A ghost of a smile touched Daniel's lips. Strong enough to strip paint. They walked through the village as darkness settled like a comfortable blanket. The bar was more of a living room with bottles, 5 small tables and walls covered in yellowed photographs. Mr. Park, ancient and grinning, brought them a bottle and 2 glasses without being asked. You know everyone here, Riley observed as Daniel poured. It's a small village. Stay long enough, you become part of it. How long have you been here? 2 years. He raised his glass in a small toast. To broken cars and unexpected detours, the soju burned, but in a cleansing way. They drank and talked, carefully at first, sharing the safe stories. Riley told him about growing up in Los Angeles, her mixed heritage that left her feeling neither here nor there. Daniel spoke of learning mechanics from his grandfather, though something in his voice suggested the grandfather might be more fiction than fact. As the bottle emptied, their walls lowered. Riley found herself telling him about the night she discovered Marcus's betrayal, finding her photographs in a gallery with his signature, the way the art community had turned on her when she tried to fight back. The worst part, she said, words slightly blurred by soju, was that I actually loved him. I thought we were building something together. Instead, he was just waiting for the right moment to take everything. Daniel's hand moved across the table, not quite touching hers, but close enough she could feel the warmth. The people we trust most cut the deepest. Speaking from experience? He pulled back, that guarded look returning. We should go. It's getting late. Walking back to the guest house, Riley stumbled on an uneven stone. Daniel caught her arm, steadying her, and for a moment they stood frozen, in the narrow street. His touch was gentle, but she could feel strength beneath it, controlled power that spoke of more than fixing cars. "What are you really doing here, Daniel?" she asked softly. "Because I've photographed enough people to know when someone's hiding." He released her arm slowly. "Good night, Riley. I'll see you tomorrow about your car." But she was not done. The soju had made her bold, or maybe it was the way he looked at her, like she was both dangerous and precious. "Your hands," he stopped. "What about them?" "They're not mechanics' hands, not entirely. You hold tools like weapons. You scan every room like you're expecting an attack." She stepped closer. "I make my living seeing what people try to hide, so I'll ask again, what are you really doing here?" For a long moment, she thought he might actually answer. His face cycled through emotions too complex to name. Then the mask slammed back into place. "Fixing cars," he said flatly, "that's all." But as he walked away, Riley noticed the slight bulge beneath his shirt at the small of his back. The shape was unmistakable to anyone who had grown up in Los Angeles. A gun. Sleep did not come easily that night. Riley lay on the heated floor, staring at the ceiling beams, trying to reconcile the gentleman who had listened to her story with the armed mystery who moved like a predator. She should be afraid. She should pack up and find another way out of this village. Instead, she found herself thinking about the sadness in his eyes when he said, "People we trust most cut the deepest." The next morning brought rain, soft and steady, turning the world gray and impressionistic. Riley spent the morning photographing the village in the mist, losing herself in the work. Around noon, she made her way to Daniel's garage. He was under a different car, but slid out when he heard her footsteps. Today's smudge of oil decorated his other cheek, and Riley fought the absurd urge to wipe it away. "Parts will be here tomorrow," he said. "Day after that, you're free to go." "Free," she repeated, tasting the word. Funny how that doesn't feel as appealing as it should. He stood, and they were suddenly very close in the small garage. Riley could smell motor oil and something else. Soap maybe, clean and masculine. "You should be careful," he said quietly. "This isn't a place for getting attached." "Is that a warning?" "It's advice." But his eyes betrayed him, lingering on her face like he was memorizing it. Riley lifted her camera, a barrier, an invitation both. "Can I photograph you?" "No." The response was immediate, sharp. "Why not?" "Because cameras remember things better left forgotten." She lowered the camera. "What are you running from?" "What makes you think I'm running?" "Takes one to know one." He laughed, short and bitter. "Maybe we're both just hiding then." Before Riley could respond, the sound of engines filled the air. Not the typical puttering of village traffic, but something aggressive, powerful. Daniel's entire demeanor changed in an instant. The lazy mechanic disappeared, replaced by something lethal. "Get in the office," he ordered, pointing to a small room off the garage. "Now." "What's happening?" "Now, Riley." The authority in his voice brooked no argument. She ducked into the office as 3 black SUVs rolled past the garage entrance, moving slowly, predatory. Through the grimy window, she watched Daniel step out to meet them, his posture relaxed but ready. A man emerged from the lead vehicle, tall and sharp in an expensive suit that looked absurd in the rural setting. He said something to Daniel in Korean, but the tone needed no translation. Threat, challenge, danger. Daniel responded calmly, gesturing at the garage, playing the simple mechanic. But Riley saw his right hand drift slightly behind his back, toward where she had seen the gun. The suited man stepped closer, and now Riley could see his face. Cruel eyes, a scar, bisecting one eyebrow. He grabbed Daniel's shirt, pulling him close, snarling something that made Daniel's jaw clench. Then the man's gaze swept the garage and landed on the office window. On Riley, Daniel moved so fast she barely saw it. The suited man was suddenly on the ground, Daniel's knee in his back, arm twisted at an angle that looked deeply painful. The other men started forward, hands reaching inside jackets, but Daniel said something low and dangerous that froze them. After a tense moment, he released the man, who scrambled up, face red with humiliation and rage. More words were exchanged, promises or threats. Riley could not tell. Then the SUVs were leaving, engines growling their displeasure. Daniel waited until they were completely gone before turning to the office. When Riley emerged, his face was stone. "You need to leave," he said. "Today. I'll drive you to the next town, put you on a bus." What was that about? Who were those men? "It doesn't matter. It does to me." She stepped closer, anger overriding fear. "I'm involved now, whether you like it or not." That man saw me. Daniel's hands clenched and unclenched. The rain had picked up, drumming on the metal roof like impatient fingers. "Those men," he said finally, "are looking for someone. Someone they think might be here. You?" He met her eyes, and she saw the truth there before he spoke. "My name isn't Daniel." The admission hung between them like a loaded gun. Riley knew she should run, knew this was the moment smart people left. Instead, she asked, "What is it then?" "Han Minjun." The name came out rough, unused. "And until 2 years ago, I ran the largest crime syndicate in Seoul." The rain became a downpour, but neither of them moved. Riley processed this information, slotting it into place with all the details she had observed. It made sense in a terrible way. What happened 2 years ago? Minjun's face darkened. "I died. Or at least, that's what everyone believes. But you're here. Hiding. Surviving," he corrected. "There's a difference. Those men, are they police?" A bitter laugh. "No, they work for my brother. He's been looking for me, though I don't know how he tracked me here." "Your brother wants to find you?" "That's good, isn't it?" The look Minjun gave her could have frozen fire. "My brother is the reason I had to die. He betrayed me, made a deal with a rival family. The night I was supposed to be arrested in a raid he orchestrated, they came to my home instead. My wife," his voice caught, barely noticeable, "she was there. She was pregnant." Riley's hand moved instinctively to her chest. "Oh God. She died because of his betrayal. Our child never got a chance to live. So I died too, in every way that mattered. Let them all think Han Minjun perished in the fire that night. But you survived. My body did." He turned away, shoulders rigid with old pain. "I've been here since then, planning, waiting. I was going to return when the time was right, take my revenge on everyone involved. But then," he stopped. "Then what?" He turned back to her, and his eyes held something she had not expected: vulnerability. Then a photographer with sad eyes and a broken car showed up, and for the first time in 2 years, I remembered what it felt like to be human. The confession landed like a physical blow. Riley could not breathe, could not think past the raw honesty in his voice. "I scare you," he said, not a question. "You should," Riley admitted. "Everything about this should terrify me, but," she took a step closer, "I've spent the last 6 months being afraid. Afraid of being exposed as a fraud, afraid of never creating again, afraid of trusting anyone. I'm tired of fear. This isn't a game, Riley. The men who came today will be back. My brother won't stop until he confirms I'm dead or alive." "Then why stay? Why not run somewhere else?" Minjun walked to his toolbox, the one she had. Noticed that first day. He opened a hidden compartment in the bottom, pulling out a photograph. He handed it to her with careful hands, like it might dissolve. It was an ultrasound image, grainy and ethereal. A tiny form barely visible in swirls of black and white. "This is all I have left of them," he said quietly. "My wife, Sujin, and our daughter. She would have been born in spring. Sujin wanted to name her after the cherry blossoms." Riley studied the image. This ghost of a life never lived. "Is revenge worth it? Will it bring them back?" "No, but it might let them rest." She handed the photo back, their fingers brushing in the exchange. "Maybe they're already at rest. Maybe it's you who needs to find peace." Minjun's jaw tightened. "You don't understand. In my world, betrayal demands blood. My own brother," his voice turned to ice, "sold my family's lives for power. How do I let that go?" "I don't know," Riley said honestly. "But I know that holding on to poison only kills the person drinking it." He stared at her for a long moment. "You should still leave. Tomorrow when the parts come." "Probably," she agreed. "But I've made a lot of bad decisions lately. What's one more?" That surprised a smile from him, small but genuine. You're not what I expected. Neither are you. She glanced around the garage, this hiding place of a broken man. Show me who you really are. Not the mafia boss. Not the ghost. The man in between. That man might not exist anymore. I think he does. Riley raised her camera again. I think he's been fixing more than cars in this garage. Let me show you what I see. This time, he did not refuse. Riley photographed him in the afternoon, light filtering through the rain, catching the exhaustion he usually hid, the gentleness that existed alongside the danger. She captured his hands, those weapons turned to tools of repair. She photographed the moment he smiled genuinely at something she said about terrible Los Angeles traffic. As evening approached, the rain stopped. They sat on crates in the garage, sharing convenience store ramyeon that Daniel heated on a hot plate. Why photography? He asked. Chopsticks paused midway to his mouth. My grandmother gave me a camera when I was 12. Said the world was too big to remember everything, so we had to choose what to keep. I've been choosing ever since. And what have you chosen to keep from here? Riley looked at him, this dangerous man, eating noodles in a rundown garage. Everything. The good and the terrifying. Most people would only see the terrifying. I'm not most people. No, he agreed softly. You're not. A comfortable silence settled between them. Riley found herself studying his profile, the way the fading light carved shadows under his cheekbones. She wanted to photograph him again, wanted to capture this exact moment when he looked almost peaceful. They'll come back, Minjun said suddenly. My brother's men. They suspect something or they wouldn't have come at all. What will you do? What I've been preparing for. He stood, walking to the back of the garage. Moving aside, an old cabinet revealed a hidden panel in the wall. Inside was an arsenal that made Riley's breath catch. Guns, ammunition, what looked like body armor. Jesus, I told you. This isn't a game. You've been preparing to go to war. I've been preparing to survive one. He closed the panel. My brother won't just let me exist. Once he confirms I'm alive, he'll finish what he started. Unless you finish it first. Minjun's smile was sharp as broken glass. Now you're understanding. But Riley was not done. She stood, moving closer to him. What if there's another way? There isn't. How do you know? Have you tried talking to him? Talking? Minjun laughed bitterly. He had my pregnant wife murdered. What would we discuss? The weather? Maybe he had reasons. Maybe he was forced. There's always a choice. His voice turned hard. He made his. Riley wanted to argue, but she could see the wall slamming down. This was not a wound that words could heal. I should go, she said. It's getting dark. Minjun walked her back to the guest house, both of them hyper-aware of their surroundings in a way they had not been before. At the entrance, he stopped. The parts will be here early. I'll install them quickly. You should leave by noon. You keep trying to get rid of me. I'm trying to save you. Maybe I don't want to be saved. The words hung between them, loaded with meaning. Maybe I'm tired of safe. Minjun reached out, his hand cupping her face with infinite gentleness. You don't know what you're saying. Then show me. For a moment, she thought he would kiss her. His thumb traced her cheekbone, and his eyes dropped to her lips. Then a car backfired in the distance, and the moment shattered. He stepped back, walls firmly in place. Goodbye, Riley. But it was not goodbye, not yet. Riley knew it as she watched him walk away. Something was coming, inevitable as the sunrise. She could feel it in the air, electric and dangerous. That night, she sat at her laptop, editing the photos she had taken of Minjun. In them, she saw what he could not just the pain and the rage, but the possibility of something more. The way he had smiled when he thought she was not looking, the gentleness in his hands when he touched her face. She was so absorbed that she almost missed the sound. Footsteps, light and deliberate, on the wooden walkway outside her room. Riley froze, listening. The footsteps stopped directly outside her door. A soft knock. Riley? It's me. Minjun. She slid open the door to find him dressed entirely in black, a backpack slung over one shoulder. What's wrong? They're coming. Tonight. My contacts in Seoul just warned me. A full team. His eyes were fierce, determined. I'm leaving. Drawing them away from the village. What about your revenge? It can wait. The people here can't get caught in the crossfire. He pressed something into her hand. Car keys. Your car is fixed. Leave now while they're focused on finding me. Minjun. Han Minjun is dead, remember? Let him stay that way. But his hand lingered on hers. In another life, maybe? Don't. Riley gripped his hand tighter. Don't you dare say goodbye, like we're in some tragic movie. Aren't we? She pulled him into the room, sliding the door shut behind him. No. We're two broken people who found each other in the middle of nowhere. That's not tragic. It's possibility. You don't know what you're asking. Then tell me. She reached for his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. Stop protecting me from the truth and tell me. And he did. In the darkness of the small room, Min Jun told her everything. The empire he had built from nothing. The woman he had loved and lost. The brother whose betrayal had shattered everything. He told her about the blood on his hands, the things he had done in the name of power and survival. Riley listened without judgment, her photographer's eye seeing past the words to the man beneath. When he finished, dawn was creeping through the windows, painting everything in shades of gold and possibility. You're not the same man who did those things, she said quietly. How can you know that? Because that man wouldn't have spent 2 years fixing cars in a tiny village. He wouldn't have protected people he barely knows. He wouldn't have. She paused, gathering courage. Looked at me the way you do. How do I look at you? Like I'm both dangerous and precious. Like you want to run toward me, and away from me at the same time. Minjun laughed, soft and wondering. You see too much. Occupational hazard. He leaned forward, resting his forehead against hers. If I asked you to run with me? Where? Anywhere. Everywhere. Away from his mess. Riley closed her eyes, breathing him in. Ask me. But before he could, the door exploded inward. Men in tactical gear flooded the room, weapons raised. Minjun moved like liquid, pushing Riley behind him, but there were too many. In seconds, they were both on the floor, zip ties cutting into their wrists. A familiar figure entered, the suited man from yesterday. He said something in Korean, sneering. Min Jun responded calmly, but Riley could feel the tension in his body, coiled and ready. Then another man entered, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. He looked like Min Jun, same sharp features and dangerous grace, but colder somehow. The brother. The two men stared at each other, years of betrayal and pain crackling between them. The brother spoke first, voice heavy with something Riley could not identify. Regret? Anger? Fear? Min Jun responded in English. For her benefit, she realized. Come to finish what you started, Jae Sung? I came to bring you home. I have no home, you made sure of that. Jae Sung's jaw tightened. Things are not what you think. They never were. Soo Jin is dead. Our child is dead. What else is there to know? Everything. Jae Sung pulled out a tablet, swiping to a video. Watch. The screen showed a woman in a garden, laughing as she chased a toddler through flowers. The woman's face was scarred but familiar. Soo Jin. Alive. Min Jun made a sound like he had been gutted. That's not possible. She survived the fire, barely, lost the baby, lost most of her memories. She thinks you're dead. Jae Sung's voice was carefully controlled. I've been protecting her for 2 years. You're lying. I'm not. The attack that night wasn't from our rivals. It was from within our own organization. Someone wanted both of us gone. I made a deal to save her life, to save both your lives. But the price was letting everyone think you died. Riley watched Minjun process this, saw his world reshaping itself in real time. The rage that had sustained him for 2 years crumbled, replaced by something rawer. She's alive, remarried, happy. She has no memory of the life before, and the doctors say forcing those memories could destroy her mind completely. Jae Sung knelt beside his brother. I'm sorry, for all of it. But if you resurface now, if you go to her, you'll destroy the peace she's found. Then why tell me? Because the man who ordered the attack is making moves again. I need my brother back, the real one, not this ghost. Jae Sung glanced at Riley. And because you seem to have found a reason to live again. Min Jun looked at Riley then, really looked at her. She saw him making a choice, weighing revenge against possibility, past against future. Let her go, he said quietly. She's not part of this. She is now, Jae Sung replied. The moment Kwon's men saw her with you, she became a target. The only way to keep her safe is to end this. Kwon ordered the attack? Your mentor, my mentor, the man we trusted above all others. Jae-sung's face was grim. He's been playing us against each other for years, waiting for the right moment to take everything. Min-jun was silent for a long moment. Then, cut her ties. Min-jun, Riley started. Cut her ties, he repeated, steel in his voice. Jae-sung nodded to one of his men, who freed Riley's hands. She immediately reached for Min-jun, but he pulled away. You're leaving, he told her. Now. With an escort to Seoul. Then on a plane home. I'm not going anywhere. This isn't your fight. It became mine the moment I knocked on your garage door. She turned to Jae-sung. What do you need him to do? Jae-sung looked surprised, then oddly appreciative. Kwon is hosting a gathering tomorrow night. All the families will be there. It's the perfect opportunity to expose his betrayal and end this. It's a trap, Min-jun said immediately. Of course it is. He knows I found you. He's expecting us. Jae-sung smiled, sharp and dangerous. But he's not. Expecting us to come together. The Han brothers reunited. And if I refuse, then Kwon wins. He takes everything our father built, and everyone who stood with our family dies. Jae-sung stood. I know I have no right to ask for your trust. But I'm asking anyway. Min-jun looked between his brother and Riley, calculating odds and outcomes. Finally, he stood, decision made. I'll need my resources. The ones I've been gathering. Already retrieved from your various hiding spots. Jae-sung smiled slightly. You always were predictable in your paranoia. And her? Under our protection until this is over. No, Riley interrupted. I'm not sitting in some safe house while you two wage war. I'm part of this now. You're a photographer, Min-jun said harshly. This is real violence, real danger. Then I'll document it. Someone should record the truth of what happens. Both brothers stared at her. Then Jae-sung laughed, genuine and surprised. I like her. She's insane, but I like her. Min-jun was not amused. Riley, please. If something happens to you because of me, then it's my choice. You said there's always a choice. This is mine. They stood there, locked in a battle of wills. Finally, Min-jun broke. You stay with the security team. You don't take unnecessary risks, and when I tell you to run, you run. Deal. The rest happened quickly. The room cleared, plans were made, and suddenly Riley found herself in the back of an SUV headed to Seoul, Min-jun beside her. He had not spoken since they left the village, staring out the window at the passing landscape. She's really alive, he said finally, wonder in his voice. How do you feel about that? I don't know. For 2 years, my grief has been my compass. Without it, I'm lost. Riley took his hand, threading their fingers together. Maybe lost is just another word for free. He squeezed her hand, then brought it to his lips, kissing her knuckles softly. You should have run when you had the chance. I've been running for 6 months. It's exhausting. She leaned against his shoulder. Besides, someone needs to document the Han brothers taking down a corrupt empire. Think of the exhibition possibilities. That surprised a laugh from him. You're thinking about art at a time like this? I'm always thinking about art. It's how I make sense of the world. And how do you make sense of this? Of us? Riley was quiet for a moment, watching the city lights grow closer. 2 broken people finding each other in the chaos. It's the oldest story there is, but it's ours. That makes it worth telling. The Seoul safe house was a penthouse that screamed money and power. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and every surface gleamed with cold perfection. It felt nothing like the warm garage where she had gotten to know the real Min-jun. Jae-sung was already there, surrounded by men studying building plans and security footage. He looked up as they entered. The gathering is tomorrow at 9. Black tie, very exclusive. Every major player will be there. How do we expose Kwon without starting a war? Min-jun asked. All business now. We have evidence, documents, recordings, proof of his betrayals against multiple families. We just need to present it to the right people at the right time. And he'll let us waltz in? He's expecting us to come in guns blazing. Instead, we'll arrive as guests. Publicly, he won't move against us with everyone watching. Min Jun studied the plans, his tactical mind already working. Riley watched him transform from mechanic to general, saw the leader he must have been emerging from hiding. Riley needs a dress, he said suddenly. If she's coming, she needs to blend in. I'm not playing dress up while you plan a coup. You're not playing anything, Minjun turned to her, serious. These people can smell weakness, fear, anything out of place. If you're there, you need to be perfect. A woman appeared, as if summoned, elegant and dangerous looking. I'll take care of her, she said in accented English. By tomorrow night, she'll look like she belongs. Riley wanted to protest, but the steel in Minjun's eyes stopped her. This was his world, his rules. If she wanted to be part of it, she had to play the game. The woman, who introduced herself as Sun Hee, whisked Riley away to another room filled with designer gowns. As she tried on dress after dress, Riley could hear the brothers planning in the other room, voices rising and falling in intensity. He loves you, Sun Hee said suddenly, adjusting the hem of a black silk dress. We just met. Time is meaningless in our world. You can know someone for years and never see their truth, or meet them once and know everything. She stepped back, examining the fit. Min Jun has been dead inside since he lost Su Jin. But when he looks at you, he's alive again. He still loves her. He loves the memory of her, but memories can't keep you warm at night. Sun Hee smiled sadly. I knew Su Jin. She would want him to live again, really live. Riley stared at herself in the mirror. The dress transformed her from struggling artist to someone who belonged in this world of shadows and power. It felt like armor. That night, she found Minjun on the penthouse balcony, city lights spreading below like fallen stars. He had showered and changed into a simple t-shirt and jeans, looking more like the mechanic she had met than the crime boss he had been. Nervous? She asked, joining him at the railing. Terrified, he glanced at her. Not of tomorrow, of after. What do you mean? For 2 years, revenge was my purpose. If we succeed tomorrow, if Quan falls, what then? Who am I without the rage? Riley turned to face him fully. You're the man who fixed my car, who protected a village full of strangers, who chose justice over blind revenge. You're Han Min-jun, and you get to decide what that means now. He studied her face in the city light. What do you see when you photograph people? Truth, the parts they think they're hiding. And what truth do you see in me? Riley reached up, tracing his jaw with gentle fingers. I see a man who's been sleeping for 2 years and is finally waking up. I see strength that chooses to be gentle. I see someone worth saving. Minjun caught her hand, pressing it against his chest where his heart beat strong and sure. I see you too, the artist who had her work stolen but kept creating. The woman who should run but chooses to stay. The light that found me in my darkest place. The space between them evaporated. When he kissed her, it was like coming home and leaving shore at the same time. Dangerous and safe, familiar and completely new. Riley felt herself falling, not into darkness but into possibility. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun rested his forehead against hers. After tomorrow, he said. After tomorrow, she agreed. But tomorrow had its own plans. The gathering was held at the Sheila Hotel, old money and new power mingling in a ballroom that dripped crystal and menace. Riley entered on Minjun's arm, hyper-aware of every gaze that tracked their movement. Whispers followed in their wake, Han Minjun risen from the dead with an unknown woman beside him. Jae Sung was already there, working the room with practiced ease. The brothers had not publicly acknowledged each other yet, maintaining the fiction of their estrangement. Remember, Minjun murmured in her ear, if I say run, I know. Riley squeezed his arm. There he is. Kwon stood at the center of the room, like a spider in his web, elderly and elegant, with eyes that missed nothing. When he saw Minjun, his expression did not change, but Riley felt the tension ratchet up throughout the room. Minjun walked them directly to him, bold as brass. Uncle, he said formally, using the honorific of respect. You look well for a man who tried to have me killed. The room seemed to hold its breath. Kwon smiled, grandfatherly and false. Minjun. What an interesting fiction. Everyone knows you died in that terrible fire. Everyone was meant to think that. Minjun's voice carried throughout the suddenly silent ballroom. Just as everyone was meant to think my brother betrayed me. But lies have a way of burning themselves out, don't they, uncle? Jae-sung appeared at Min-jun's other side, united front established. We have something to share with the families. A truth that's been hidden too long. Kwan's mask finally slipped, rage flickering across his features. You dare? We dare, the brothers said in unison. What happened next happened fast. Jae-sung's men moved through the crowd, handing out tablets loaded with evidence. Documents appeared on the ballroom screens, proof of Kwon's betrayals, his plots against multiple families, his theft and deception spanning decades. The room erupted. Accusations flew, alliances shifted, and Kwon stood at the center, watching his empire crumble in real time. You think you've won? He snarled at Min-jun. You think this ends it? That's when Riley saw the gun. Time slowed. Kwon pulled the weapon from inside his jacket, aimed at Min-jun. Riley moved without thinking, her photographer's reflexes pushing Min-jun aside as the gun fired. Pain bloomed in her shoulder, hot and sharp. She heard Min-jun roar, felt herself falling, then strong arms caught her. Riley! No, no, no! Min-jun's voice, desperate and broken. More gunshots, screaming, chaos. But all Riley could focus on was Min-jun's face above her, those dangerous eyes now filled with tears. I'm okay, she managed, though the pain suggested otherwise. Just a shoulder. I've had worse paper cuts. Don't joke. His hands pressed against the wound, stemming the blood. Why did you do that? Because you're worth saving too. Sirens in the distance. Jae-sung appeared, phone in hand. Ambulance is coming. Kwon is down. It's over. But Min-jun was not listening, focused entirely on Riley. Stay with me, please. Not going anywhere, she promised, though darkness crept at the edges of her vision. Still need to document the aftermath. I love you, he said, the words tumbling out desperate and true. I should have said it last night, this morning, the moment you walked into my garage. I love you. Riley smiled, reaching up with her good hand to touch his face. I know. I photographed it, remember? The way you look at me. It's all there in black and white. The paramedics arrived, loading her onto a stretcher. Min-jun held her hand the entire way to the hospital, whispering promises and apologies in equal measure. The bullet had missed anything vital, the doctor assured them. She would recover fully, though physical therapy would take time. Riley woke to find Min-jun asleep in the chair beside her bed, their hands still linked. You look terrible, she said softly. His eyes snapped open, relief flooding his features. You were shot. You were sleeping in that torture device of a chair. We both made poor choices. He laughed, wet and broken. Marry me. That's the morphine talking. It's not. He moved to sit on the bed, careful of her injury. I've spent 2 years living in the past. You make me want a future. Marry me. We've known each other 5 days. And they've been the most alive I've felt in years. He pulled something from his pocket. Not a ring, but the ultrasound photo. I've been carrying death with me for so long, I want to carry life instead. With you. Riley studied his face, this dangerous beautiful man who fixed cars and hearts with equal skill. Ask me again when I'm not high on painkillers. I'll ask you every day until you say yes. That could be annoying. That's the plan. 3 months later, Riley's photography exhibition opened in Seoul. Hidden Lives, Found Truths, a series. Documenting the village, its people, and one mechanic who was more than he seemed. The photos were honest, raw, beautiful in their simplicity. Min-jun stood beside her as patrons moved through the gallery, his hand warm in hers. He had disbanded most of his grandfather's empire, keeping only the legitimate businesses. Jae-sung ran the rest, the brothers having found their way back to each other through shared loss and redemption. No regrets? Riley asked, watching people study her work. Only one. What's that? He turned to her, pulling a small box from his pocket. That I've asked you to marry me 47 times and you keep saying ask me tomorrow. 48, she corrected. You asked this morning too. So I did. He went to one knee right there in the gallery, in front of everyone. Riley Chen, you saved my life in every way that matters. Will you marry me? She looked at him. This man who had been villain and hero, ghost and flesh, everything and nothing. The man who had fixed her car and stolen her heart in equal measure. Yes. The gallery erupted in applause, but Riley only had eyes for Minjun as he slipped the ring on her finger. It was simple, elegant, perfect. Only took 48 tries, he murmured against her lips. I was always going to say yes, she admitted. I just liked hearing you ask. A year later, they married in that small village where it all began, in Daniel's garage that had been transformed with lights and flowers. Halmione Kim cried happy tears. Mr. Park provided enough soju to float a boat, and the entire village celebrated the photographer and the mechanic, who had found each other in the most unlikely place. Jae-sung stood as his brother's best man, their reconciliation complete. Sun He caught the bouquet, winking at Jae-sung in a way that suggested more stories to come. As they danced in the garage where everything had changed, Minjun whispered in Riley's ear, "You know what this means, don't you?" "What?" "Your car is going to break down here every year on this date," mysteriously, inexplicably. Riley laughed, bright and free. "Good thing I know a mechanic. The best in the village," he agreed, spinning her under the stars. They lived between Seoul and the village, Riley's photography career reborn with her unique perspective on hidden stories. Minjun consulted for law enforcement, using his knowledge to help take down organizations like the one he had once run. Some nights, when the past crept too close, they would sit together looking at photos. Not the ultrasound that had once defined Minjun's grief, but new images. Their wedding, their travels, the family they were slowly building together. "You fixed me," Minjun said one such night, studying a photo of them laughing at something lost to memory. "No," Riley corrected, taking the photo and setting it aside. "We fixed each other. That's what love does. It takes two broken people and makes them whole." And in a small village in rural Korea, in a garage that still smelled of motor oil and possibility, their story continued. Not the photographer and the Mafia king, but Riley and Minjun, proof that sometimes the best destinations are the ones you never planned to reach. The road that had brought Riley there, that broken asphalt disappearing into mist, had turned out to be exactly the right path after all. Sometimes, getting lost is the only way to be found. Years passed, and the garage became something of a legend in the village. Travelers would occasionally arrive with mysteriously broken cars, usually women running from something, men hiding from their past. Minjun would fix their vehicles, Riley would photograph their stories if they let her, and sometimes, just sometimes, those broken travelers would find what Riley had found. A reason to stay. A reason to heal. A reason to believe that even the most damaged hearts can be repaired with the right tools, the right time, and the right person willing to get their hands dirty in the work of love. The last photo in Riley's exhibition, the one that would define her career and their story, was simple. Two pairs of hands, one scarred from violence, one stained with developer fluid, intertwined as they worked on an engine together. The title read, "Fixed," and they were.